Hi, and welcome to Mrs. PM Reads, where we're continuing in the Magic Circle by Katherine Neville. Before I put my little sign down, I want to go ahead and remind you, there it is. If you've been watching the book or other books on the channel and you haven't subscribed, you want to go ahead and do that. It's free to subscribe, and then you want to hit the little bell tab and you will get a notification every time a new video posts. I know I've said it before. I try to post every 3 days. Sometimes it stretches to 4. So this way you'll be right on top of all the videos as they come and the ongoing catastrophes of our current story. All right. So in our last video, Ariel was at the airport. Wolfgang was getting their bags, and she phoned her mother, and her mother needed to get a drink. Her mother was sober, but she needed a drink to have the conversation. And she goes on to tell about how her mother met Wolfgang's father, Bambi's father, Mr. von Hauser, and the Hitler affiliation and the dancing and all of that stuff. But it turns out that Zoe had sent Ariel a manuscript, and Sam had sent Ariel a manuscript, both of which are hidden in 2 different places. And she's figured out that she thinks Wolfgang's probably been lying to her ever since she met him. So that's where we're picking it up. All right. Our cab pulled in a narrow street on the left bank before the Rayless Christine. Wolfgang hopped out, paid the driver, and rang the bell at the gate. Our plane was quite late, Wolfgang told the desk man in rather impeccable French. We haven't yet eaten. Could you give us our room key and stow our baggage while we go for a short meal? The desk man agreed. Wolfgang exchanged a healthy tip for our room key, and we went on down the 1-block street to where lights were still glowing and numerous tables of what seemed ebullient after theater people were still dining inside a chic, cozy bistro. Our coquilles arrived, filled with a wonderful concoction of seafood seasoned with exotic Mediterranean spices. Something about a good meal and a full-bodied wine always seemed to make me truly relaxed and mellow, and to dull my survival instincts exactly when I needed them sharpest. It was rather a lengthy phone call you made just now to the States. Boy, he is just interested, isn't he? Wolfgang finally commented when our crispy green salad showed up afterwards. Do you speak with your mother often? At least every few years, without fail, rain or shine, I told him. Perhaps this call was related, then, to the call you made earlier to your uncle, he suggested. You've been uncharacteristically quiet ever since we left Vienna. I am often more of a blabbermouth than serves my own good, I agreed. But on the subject of my family, I've usually been reticent. Of course, now that it turns out you and I are actually related, I guess there's practically nothing we couldn't discuss with one another. That is, if we both decided to tell the truth for a refreshing change. Ah, said Wolfgang quietly, looking down at his plate. He picked up a crusty roll and broke it in 2, studying the pieces in his hands as if expecting them to contain the key to some mystery. At last, he looked up at me with those incredible turquoise eyes beneath thick lashes, which always made me more than a little weak in the knees. But I knew I'd better keep my attention focused on mind instead of matter. It's your serve, I believe, I told him. But please be advised, this isn't a set of lawn tennis we're playing anymore. It's clear you've been told something that reflects badly on me, Wolfgang said calmly. But before I try to explain my side of things, I must ask how much of the situation you already know. Why is that always the first question everyone asks me? I said. I stabbed at my salad a few times, then put down my fork and looked him in the eye. I think that even if you did meet Zoe Ben for the first time last year, you know she's your grandmother, which makes her daughters, your mother and mine, half sisters. And I know neither you nor Zoe sent me that rune manuscript. My mother has just informed me she did. She may have concealed the truth from me for a very long time, but she's not an out-and-out liar. I wish I could say the same of you. Wow. The one thing I have to thank you for is saving my life in an avalanche. Otherwise, as far as I can tell, you've misled me from the very moment we met up on that mountain, and I demand to know why tonight. Wolfgang was staring at me with a kind of astonishment. I admit few of the waiters and other patrons had glanced in our direction, though I'd kept my voice pretty well under control. Then, unexpectedly, Wolfgang smiled. Only one thing, he said, with raised eyebrow, ignoring the rest of my tirade. I should have to say, rather, that I have many things to thank you for. The first, that I have never fallen in love with anyone before now. The second, something I really didn't expect, that it could be with such a hellcat as you. So I must thank you for, how do you Americans say? For introducing me to reality. He put his napkin on the table and motioned for our bill, but I was blazing mad and not about to be put off one more time, even by this scathing, if possibly accurate, portrait of myself. I waved the waiter away and picked up my wine glass to emphasize the fact. I haven't finished, I told Wolfgang firmly. Oh, yes, you certainly have, he assured me in exactly the same tone of voice. Does it not occur to you, Ariel, that I didn't speak of our relationship earlier because I was warned by everyone of how you feel about the Ben family? That you've been distant toward all but your cousin Sam since you were even a little child? Don't you think I knew beforehand what your reaction would be if I arrived without warning immediately after this very cousin died and said to you, hello, it's me, your cousin Wolfgang, whom you've never heard of. I'm here to drag you into the bosom of your dangerous family, whom you've avoided for so long. And as for the rune manuscript you say I lied to you about, Zoe knew you'd been sent it by your mother because the two of them spoke of it together. Ask her yourself tomorrow if you don't believe what I say. I'm sorry, but when I told you it was I who sent it to you, it was the only way I could think of that I could quickly win your trust. Why is it that the only way you can ever think how to win my trust is to tell me another lie? I interrupted Wolfgang's extremely untimely confession. But in the back of my mind, I had to admit that much of what he said was true. Handsome and desirable as Wolfgang had seemed to me from the moment I first clapped eyes on him, I had spent much time and effort trying to avoid proximity at all costs, and for a reason I could hardly have shared with him then or now, that Sam was still alive and in danger from every quarter I could think of but my own, and I couldn't afford to trust anyone at all. I also couldn't help noticing that there was still one cog that didn't fit into Wolfgang's mechanical blueprint. Even if all you've said is true, I added, it doesn't explain your lie about the pod. The pod? Said Wolfgang, confused. My boss, Pastor Owen Dart, I translated. Why was he so anxious to get me out of town on an assignment to Russia and then turn around and follow us to Vienna? What was he doing lurking that night in the vineyard below your house? What did you and he speak of that you couldn't discuss in front of me? Perhaps it was my imagination that Wolfgang grew slightly pale. He seemed about to speak, then stopped. I hoped he wouldn't try to go on pretending that the man in the vineyard was Father Virgillio, but that thought in itself suggested yet another question. Who is Virgilio Santorini, anyway? I asked. My uncle laughed, seems to know of him, but believes he's a very dangerous man. Why did you have him meet us at the Library of Milk? This is hardly the time or place I would have chosen for such a conversation, but at least it's difficult to eavesdrop, Wolfgang said with a sigh of frustration. And everything is nearly over now, so I'm able to tell you whatever you'd like to know, if at least it will finally make you feel you can trust me. Life is very complex, Ariel, and people are often complex beyond our understanding. Wolfgang, for heaven's sakes, it's nearly 2 o'clock in the morning. Let's cut to the chase, okay? Who's Virgilio, and why was Pastor Dart following us in Vienna? Very well, Wolfgang said, looking me right in the eye with a "you asked for it" expression. Virgilio Santorini is a highly educated, erudite scholar of medieval texts, books, manuscripts, who received his degrees from Sorbonne and the University of Vienna. He is, in fact, a priest, but not a librarian of the monastery of Milk. He has complete access to their archive, however, since his family in Trieste donated a large portion of their rare book collection. Their money pays for many restorations now underway at the monastery. None of this was surprising, but I was soon grateful for the covering sounds of waiters clattering dishes and some laughing ribaldries in ruckus French wafting from a nearby table, for I was hardly prepared to swallow what came next. Virgilio Santorini's family, Wolfgang went on, are also among the largest arms dealers in Eastern Europe, specifically Yugoslavia and Hungary, which is how they've made their money for generations. What your uncle may have meant when he spoke of danger is the fact that Virgilio's family is also widely reputed to be connected with a mafia group called STAR, a consortium believed to have traffic in weapons-grade nuclear weapons. So you see, as I mentioned earlier, people themselves, as well as situations, can be more complex than a simple talk over supper can express. All right, we are at 14 minutes almost. I think we'll go ahead. I don't see a natural stopping spot coming up soon, so we'll stop with that drop of a bomb, or mic drop. How about that? Arms dealers, nuclear weapons, of course. All right, you guys, I hope you're enjoying this story as much as I am. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye.